Good morning. President, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. I'm delighted to be back here in Tallinn for the 15th International Conference on Cyber Conflict with this year's theme, Meeting Reality. And I believe that this theme could not be more fitting. We are at a crossroads, and we need to rethink how we approach cyber. Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine has confirmed many theories of what roles cyber plays in conflict. Russia had made ample use of cyber capabilities before invading Ukraine, during hostilities, and it will likely continue using them after the kinetic phase of this conflict ends. In other words, cyberspace is contested at all times and not just during crisis and conflict. We are faced with long-term strategic competition where actors have become skilled at operating below the threshold of armed conflict to advance their strategic interests. However, the war in Ukraine has also dispelled some previously held assumptions. Cyber attacks are not an alternative for kinetic weapons during war. They are unlikely to be used to blow up critical infrastructure to gain a strategic advantage on the battlefield. Instead, cyberspace is a crucial enabler and facilitator for multi-domain operations and to create a fog of war. Impact of malicious cyber activities is created through cumulative effects. We need to learn the right lessons from the cyber conflict in Ukraine, and we need to meet this new reality and adjust how we tackle malicious cyber actors. And we need to act fast. Why? Because as the war continues, Russia and its proxies will develop a higher risk appetite as their fortunes on the battlefield change. And with that, the potential for spillover increases. At the same time, China seeks to create a new global normal of responsible state behavior in cyberspace, which favors restrictions over fundamental freedoms. We have to address these challenges head-on by focusing on two things. First, our cyber defense posture must become more proactive. And second, we need to understand cyberspace and new technologies as a key arena for global strategic competition. In other words, we're in this for the long haul. So allow me to elaborate on these 2 points. NATO's comprehensive cyber defense policy distinguishes between 3 cyber defense layers: the political, the military, and the technical. Activities across all 3 layers not only need to be better integrated, but our actions must also become more persistent. We need initiative persistence to shape cyberspace in line with our values at the political level, to pose strategic dilemmas for adversaries in cyberspace at the military level, and to reduce our attack surface at the technical level. At the political level, our focus should be on better enforcing the norms of responsible state behavior that were endorsed by all UN member states. Norms only become effective through consistent practice by states. In other words, deeds speak louder than words. We need to move beyond naming and shaming threat actors in response to isolated cyber incidents and be clear what norms are being broken. But we also have to consider all civil-military response options in our democratic toolbox. We need to apply those tools consistently and over time and take into account the cumulative effect and impact of seemingly isolated cyber incidents. This in turn will shape state behavior and national legislation and boost our ability to deter and defend against malicious cyber actors. Now moving to the military level, we need to strengthen the role of our military cyber defenders during peacetime. And this is important because in most national contexts, the military only gets involved during crisis and conflict. However, cyberspace is never fully at peace. There is a constant friction. And we have to prevent scenarios where we expect our militaries to perform some kind of magic handover, to take over without having been in the room in the lead-up. Instead, we need to enable civil-military cooperation throughout peacetime, crisis, and conflict, and in between all the stages. Constraining malicious cyber actors is a continuous mission. It requires a shared sense of purpose and a common operational threat picture. Finally, at the technical level, we must invest in better resilience and our ability to mitigate malicious cyber activities. We will never be able to prevent all cyber incidents, and we certainly won't succeed by sitting back and waiting for something to happen. Instead, we need to raise the cost for adversaries by limiting the potential impact of malicious cyber activities. We need to proactively hunt for potential threats and vulnerabilities in our networks, understand and better manage risk, and leverage new and emerging technologies. A proactive approach to cyber defense will only succeed if we get the framing right. We need to view cyberspace as a strategic domain and our actions to enhance cyber defense as part of a race to tech sovereignty. In fact, what we call cyber and what we call tech are two sides of the same coin. It's strategic competition. Emerging and disruptive technologies present us with opportunities, but they also pose risks. AI and quantum will likely have a major impact, in particular with regards to cyber defense. For instance, a fully operational quantum computer will be capable of decrypting all currently existing encryption systems that secure our digital communications. This will impact on our military communication, our financial transactions, and would no longer render privacy or authenticity in the internet. A particular concern is that our strategic competitors, such as China, are making considerable investments and progress in AI and quantum, with less consideration for international norms and human rights concerns. If we are unable to keep the pace, the democratic and the transatlantic community will become to depend on cyber autocrats for those essential technologies. So what is NATO doing in this field? Allies have recognized and are applying the cyber lessons learned from the war in Ukraine. We are adjusting our cyber posture to this permanently contested environment. At the Vilnius summit, a new concept for cyber's contribution to defense and deterrence will be endorsed. And a key focus of the concept is to facilitate civil-military joint efforts at all times, during peacetime, crisis, and conflict. Another cornerstone of the concept is the integration of industry expertise and capabilities on a permanent basis to better protect our networks, operate in cyberspace, and shape it in line with our values. The rationale for this is clear. The war in Ukraine demonstrates that the private sector plays a critical role in defending against cyber attacks. We've seen a new level of engagement between public and private sectors to advance international peace and security. And we need to build on this and more systematically leverage industry capabilities as a part of our longer-term approach to tackling persistent malicious cyber activities and campaigns. Apart from the concept, allies will also raise the bar for national cyber resilience at the summit. They will agree to a new and more ambitious national cyber defense goals and minimum requirements as part of what we call a revamped cyber defense pledge. And this will go in parallel with a new virtual capability that will facilitate assistance between allies if national response capabilities are overstretched during a crisis. As part of maintaining the alliance's technological edge, allies have developed the Defense Innovation Accelerator for the North Atlantic, or in short, DIANA, and the NATO Innovation Fund. Both of these initiatives will be active by the summit in Vilnius. DIANA and the fund focus on better collaboration with tech startups and innovators across the alliance, and the goal is to leverage cutting-edge tech and deep tech for our defense and deterrence. Both initiatives also aim to propel innovations that protect us against tech-infused cyber attacks. For instance, with investments in quantum solutions in order to protect our networks and systems. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin's war in Ukraine has shattered peace in Europe. It's a game changer. NATO allies have imposed unprecedented sanctions on Putin's war machine. And these massive sanctions remind us of one of the most important lessons of the conflict, that we should not trade long-term security needs for short-term economic interest. The war in Ukraine demonstrates how economic relations with authoritarian regimes can create vulnerabilities. Over-reliance on the import of key commodities like energy, risks created by exporting advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, and weakened resilience caused by foreign control over critical infrastructure like 5G. I strongly believe that the major fault line in the future will lie between cyber democrats and cyber autocrats. And let me be clear here by saying that this game is not lost, but we need to meet this reality just as the conference team suggests. If we stick together, I believe that as open societies, we can outperform our strategic competitors. And for this to happen, we need to engage with each other better. If cyber is always on, then our cooperation should be always on, between allies, across the civilian military spectrum, and between public actors and industry. NATO offers and will continue to be a platform for all of this. Thank you.